Hello and welcome to the 17th edition of What the Hell Just Happened, the video blog that promises to use the verbs to infer and to imply correctly. I'm your host, Martin Ganapoler. This week we begin with you. Why? Because this week you exercised your right to have a voice in our democratic process by voting. Whether or not your candidate or ballot initiative won, we all won simply because you voted. Thank you. And for those concerned about Arizona, Georgia, and Florida, I have good news. Do you know what the hell is going to happen in those three states? Recounts and runoffs, yes! And while the results of these actions won't tip the scale one way or another nationally, it will have a huge impact on the re-election efforts of Mr. Emoluments himself in 2020. As results are published on the status of the Florida or Georgia governor's races or the Arizona and Florida Senate contests, I will feature them right here on your computer screen because you need to know what the hell just happened. Next, let's travel to the Islamic Republic of Iran, or Persia, as the Iranian Americans prefer to call it, and what the HE double hockey sticks just happened there. On Monday, the U.S. began enforcing tough new economic restrictions against Iran, including a threat to sanction buyers of Iranian crude. That action has refineries in Europe and Asia, recent big buyers of Iranian oil, kind of nervously looking for alternative supplies. And guess who met with these European and Asian executives this week? The bosses of the Russian oil company Gazprom, which is majority owned by the Russian Federation and the Bank of New York. But just to be fair to the Iranians, Russia will defy U.S. sanctions and purchase Iranian crude directly. But not for money, no. Only by barter, like maybe weapons. And they promise not to resell it, but only to use it domestically. Da, absolutno. And if you believe that, I have a beautiful office space in the Kremlin to sell you. Finally, we return like a moth to a flame to our nation's capital, where the president just fired Attorney General Jeff Sessions, also known as Golem in a MAGA hat. He judiciously waited about 6 hours after the midterm elections to do this, and thank God we have protocols that assure a smooth transition of leadership at the highest levels of government, which, of course, Trump didn't follow. If he had, we would have Rod Rosenstein, a Senate-approved nomination of the president, as acting attorney general. Instead, he appointed Matthew Whitaker, a failed politician, a cable news huckster who sold apparently phony patent applications at around $1,000 a pop to would-be inventors in Florida. In all honesty, he was Sessions' chief of staff, but he was outspoken against the Mueller investigation from the jump, which is why he now holds the position of nation's top cop. And now he can fire Rosenstein and Mueller at the will of his boss. I know it's a bit confusing, so let me break this down for you using the analogy of the Yogi the Bear show. Let's say you're the totally corrupt chief warden of Jellystone Park. You know Yogi the Bear and his accomplice Boo Boo have been stealing picnic baskets from the tourists. But you're cool with that because Yogi has shared the baskets of goodies with you. But because the park guests complained, you appointed Ranger Jones to investigate. But he's Yogi's buddy. So he asks Ranger Smith to take over. Well, Smith and his people do too good a job and start to trace the picnic goodies back to your office. So you fire Ranger Jones and replace him with Inspector Gadget, who's not even from the same series, but is loyal and incompetent. And then you tell Inspector Gadget to get rid of Ranger Smith and his team. Got it? If so, you're smarter than the average bear. Thanks for joining me for this week's episode. See you on the next episode of What the Hell Just Happened. Bye for now.